Fantasy fanfiction. Foundation. Start with American comics. Exposure and Advent. Chapter 1. Nailed it. New York. Hell's Kitchen. In an unremarkable apartment, the extremely handsome boy was sitting in the room. His tired face was full of excitement. His name is Lin Shu. From Water Blue Star. I just traveled to this American comics world a few days ago. The announcement of Iron Man with great fanfare, the looming figure of Superman, and the simple and honest Gotham City on the map. That's right. It's a hodgepodge of the American comics world. Not only the purple sweet potato essence that has destroyed the world, but also Dr. Manhattan who reset the world line, and even the mutant conflicts appear on TV from time to time, which is not news at all. For the common people, it is no less difficult than hell. Even if he survives the aftermath of all kinds of superhero and villain battles, and survives to the end without being affected, he still has to face the snapping of his fingers by purple sweet potato essence, betting on a 1/2 chance of survival. And, on this basis, there are also anomalies that keep invading the world. It's called containment in another world. Abnormal. The only good news is that there is another system that traveled with Lin Shu. Open black lens bracket Foundation containment system close black lens bracket. The contained objects that rushed into the world at once were constrained by the mighty power of the system. Let Lin Shu take the initiative to extract the containment that is about to come to the world, and expose his relevant information, leaving time for the original characters in the American comics world to respond and corresponding information so that they will not be blinded. As for Lin Shu, as long as the abnormal containment is exposed to reduce the damage caused by the abnormal coming, and let more beings know the concept of the containment in the Foundation, exposure points can be obtained, which can be used to exchange for various treasures, ability. And, whenever an anomaly is artificially contained and suppressed, Lin Shu can receive corresponding rewards, including but not limited to Foundation bases, Secret Service personnel, combat troops, various doctoral researchers. Even the strengthening version of the containment that erases side effects. Open black lens bracket ding. Is it starting to extract the first contained object for exposure and descent? Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket weather close black lens bracket. Two options appeared before Lin Shu's eyes. But in this chaotic and extremely dangerous world, he has no choice at all. Want to survive in a world invaded by anomalies? System rewards are indispensable. It's actually it. Looking at the first contained object that appeared on the screen, Lin Shu had unexpected surprise in his eyes. The moment Lin Shu made his choice. Buzz. The power of invisible spreads. The screens of all electronic products, no matter what state they were in before, are all forced to light up. There are two layers inside and outside, one deep and one shallow black circle, which is penetrated by 3 arrows. Prominently marked below. It's the 3 words in bold and bold, Foundation. Foundation. What is this? No, no. How did my phone turn into such a ghost? With the first exclamation sounded, everyone noticed that the world in front of them had suddenly changed drastically. On all the electronic screens, the content had been overbearingly replaced, forced to remain in the field of vision, and forcibly filled. Compared with this small pop-up advertisement, it is a younger brother. Huge amounts of holographic projections hang in the sky, and the clearly visible images cause global turmoil. OMG. God, what's that? Hacking. Who is touching my phone? Don't let me find you. What the hell is this? The Foundation. Where did it come from with a third-rate name? It's not cool at all. Noisy voices resounded from every corner of the world. Shield. Top level. Foundation. Looking at the text that appeared on the screen, Nick Fury's dark face became deeper, and he was a little closer to the appearance of a black marinated egg. Guaranteed by his identity as the highest agent and controller of S.H.I.E.L.D., he has never heard of the existence of this organization on Earth, but the other party's terrifying hacking skills made him instantly dignified. Whether it's the holographic projection over New York, or the hacking methods that overbearingly invade the world's technological products, it is definitely not something that no one can have. Phil Coulson. I want all his files. Nick Fury's voice was cold. Stark Industrial Building. Hacker. He's an interesting guy, he can really make a fuss. Stark, who was lying on the sofa, just raised his eyes and continued to close them. In the early days, with his character, He might have been curious to find this hacker, see what is sacred, defeat him with absolute technology, and let the other party know how powerful Tony Stark is. But, now, the palladium metal spreading from his chest was already anchoring his death. Everything. Just pointless things. Asgard. A country that hangs high above the earth. Foundation. Sitting on the throne, the god King Odin opened his eyes. The golden light flowing in his eyes seemed to be the source of wisdom, and a dull voice sounded from the corner of his mouth. The Midgard of the 9 realms has undergone a mutation. Things that are out of his control happen, and with Odin's usual habit, there must be a lot of fanfare to figure it out. But now, he's too old, to the end of his life. The standing body sat down again, with a somewhat sad face on his face, as if a hero had come to an end. Ancient One, what are you going to do? The deep voice echoed in the golden hall until it dissipated into the air. Kamar Taj. Changes that don't exist on the timeline. A bald woman in a yellow hooded coat walked out slowly, her extraordinary temperament was unforgettable. She, who has always been as immobile as a mountain, frowned rarely. The Ancient One who holds the Eye of Agamotto has observed countless timelines and seen countless possibilities. Except this one in front of me. Timeline. Locked. There was a look of horror in Ancient One's vicissitudes of life. When she tried to observe the future changes with the help of Eye of Agamotto, thousands of rivers of time that originally flowed were shattered one after another. The destruction of the world. The only thing left is a mighty soup, which seems to be inhabited by countless terrifying rivers. Without waiting for her to continue looking down. Buzz. The light and shadow on the screen changed. The stagnant picture suddenly began to rotate. We control. We contain. We protect. Close black lens bracket. In the plain voice, but with unquestionable firmness, it resounded in the hearts of countless people. Deafening. Humans have reproduced for 250,000 years, and only the last 4,000 years are meaningful. Close black lens bracket. With a low voice sounded. The picture on the screen changed, and it seemed that he had traveled through time to the wilderness. In the dim light, human beings curl up in small bonfires, the only source of warmth is the flames that can be extinguished with one blow. Open black lens bracket in awe of everything unknown in the world. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. That's why human beings choose to worship, fear the unknown and incomprehensible things, and call them gods and demons. Close black lens bracket. To the monster with the head of a man and the body of a bird. The stone with life, pray for forgiveness and pray for salvation. Close black lens bracket. Then, screen change. Heterogeneous. Unknown. Mystery. As human beings understand the world, their number continues to decrease, while the number of human beings continues to increase, and reason gradually gains the upper hand. The world should have revealed the truth to human beings one by one. But what can be explained has not disappeared, as if the universe deliberately appeared absurd and incredible. Open black lens bracket. Human beings can no longer live in fear. Nothing can protect us, we must protect ourselves. Countless people who couldn't see their faces clearly wore the same attire. Fight in the shadows and keep them out of the public eye so others can live in a sane and common world. Someone died in battle, falling silently. Someone disappeared into the shadows, receding without a trace. But more people took the torch in their hands, burned their bodies, and continued to face the darkness. The world is not beautiful, but someone is carrying the burden for you. They practice this with their lives. The atmosphere is well rendered, and it is a blockbuster movie. Tony Stark took a sip of the red wine in his hand and gave his own evaluation. That's right, it's a movie. It looks good, but whoever believes it is stupid. He has become a rich man in the world, what secrets does he not know? I've never heard of the Foundation or something, it must be that frustrated hacker again, deliberately making a big move to ignore Hiroto. Tony wasn't so gullible. Foundation. Does not exist, absolutely does not exist. SHIELD. An organization that protects the world. Nick Fury's face was dark, and Phil Coulson's information about the Foundation was not true. In the end, the other party blew himself up again, a justice organization that has been passed down from ancient times to modern times and protects the world. If such a thing exists, what are they? SHIELD. Farce. Joke. Never allow any uncontrolled power on Earth. Nick Fury's face was gloomy. As a top agent, he instinctively doubts everything, especially the other party has terrifying hacking skills. Even suspected to come from ancient times. Wakanda, an organization hidden behind the scenes of the world. Black Panther frowned. The Wakanda he was in was a superficially disguised African aborigine, but actually controlled a powerful country with the strongest technology on Earth. He felt that he was in a similar situation, and he was a little more accepting of this kind of thing. Dubious on the face. Guard the world. Scarlet Witch Wanda looked suspicious. With origin magic power flowing from his hands, he tries to warp reality to affect screens in the sky. However, nothing. How come? Wanda's face was a bit astonished. She missed it for the first time. Has there ever been such a force on Earth? Ancient One frowned tightly. Habitually want to use the Eye of Agamotto to observe, but in the remaining time, all kinds of terrifying auras and certain terrifying powers are suddenly lodged on the river, and even she can't help but feel palpitations. There are many people with the breath of Mephisto in the dimension comparable to Dormammu. Even crushing him is not uncommon. The long river of time that could have been observed at will suddenly became dangerous. Even in the distant era, there was an indescribable dragon mother swimming vaguely, with a radiance shining on the scales, as if it contained the volume of a world, as if feeling the gaze of an unknown person, it began to slowly turn its head. Not good. Ancient One shrank his pupils, and hastily closed Eye of Agamotto. After regaining her senses, her back was already wet with sweat, and in her deep eyes, there were vaguely dragon shadows growing one after another. A partner who protects justice. Superman blinked, feeling that the road on his shoulders was a lot easier. Gotham City. Foundation. Bruce Wayne, who was dressed in pitch black, had deep distrust in his eyes. Weakness. Whether it's a hacker or a real organization, I must know all his weaknesses. Bruce's stern face was filled with a determined expression. Earth. There seems to be something wrong again. From the world on the back of the moon, voices of surprise and doubt came from uncertain tones. A stone stirs up 1,000 waves. Some people started the transformation quietly, some people were frightened by the strength of this force, but more people still regarded it as a scam. Consider it a bad joke by some top hacker. Many law enforcement agencies have even started to act quickly, trying to find the culprit and detain him. However, in this sudden change of situation, the battle scene on the screen finally came to an end gradually, starting a new transformation. Exposure. The first containment object, SCP-500. Panacea. Close black lens bracket. After taking it orally, it can cure all known or unknown diseases within 2 hours. A small plastic pill bottle of common contains small tablets of red, with a few lines of simple description next to it. Something that seems extremely simple. The comment on the narration made countless people's eyes widen. Cut, it really is another liar. I was so scared that I thought it was real. Does anyone know the name of this movie? Among other things, the special effects are so cool. Listen to me. It would be better if they took the time to pay attention to the details. Panacea or something, the name is too bad, I bet $100, this hacker is absolutely worthless. Quote. Put some small red pills in a small plastic jar, dare to promote it as a panacea. This is too ridiculous, even a child can't be fooled. The drug sellers on TV shopping seem to be countless times more reliable than this. A group of people scoffed, but no one believed it. If the hacking methods for hacking into technological items were not too terrifying, this kind of crap scam would not even make a splash. Foundation. Panacea. This method is too simple, it is really a deception of mortals. Loki curls his lips. Except for the god King Odin, Loki, who has been watching the earth, is definitely the first to discover this scene in Ardgas. Loki, who is still watching curiously, immediately lost interest after hearing the description of the panacea. Too fake. Such a crude lie is a waste of such a big battle. It really is immortal, it's really boring. Loki's faint voice carried the arrogance of the Protoss. It's so clumsy. Tony had completely lost interest in watching. It doesn't matter if the screen is forced to turn on, but he can turn the seat. Turning back, he looked directly out the window, overlooking the busy traffic in the center of the empire, with sadness in his eyes. But Pepper next to Tony stared at the screen without blinking. In her almost desperate heart, some inexplicable expectations suddenly emerged. A panacea. Does such a thing really exist? The more you know, the more afraid you will be of the existence behind this exposure. Originally, she definitely wouldn't believe it. But the changes in the long river of time made Ancient One look dignified. But, fortunately, there is no need for her to continue to struggle in her heart. Because, the picture on the screen started to change again. The screen changed, came directly to a laboratory-like place. Researchers wearing uniforms shuttle back and forth from the laboratory, and the leader is holding the panacea in his hand. Seeing this scene, the agent's instinct made Nick Fury's eyes condense. Quick, according to the laboratory analysis on the image. Find their instrument usage habits and possible locations as soon as possible. These instruments are not simple, and it is impossible for common Mink and Imaginers to splice them together. Seeing this scene, Nick Fury is basically sure that the Foundation definitely exists. As for whether it is as upright and powerful as they say, he is always skeptical. When he turned his head back, the picture had entered the next link. Open black lens bracket SCP-500 contact test close black lens bracket. Appendix 500-1. For infection with SCP-008. Zombie virus. Tests conducted by D-Class personnel have shown that even in the advanced stages of the disease, a single dose can completely cure it. Close black lens bracket. What SCP-008 is, no one knows. But they can clearly see what is on the screen. I'm scared to death. What the hell is this? Isn't this style of painting too outrageous? Isn't it a cure? What is this thing? The whole body is green, the head is extremely hideous, the zombie-like thing rushes directly to the screen, and there is a close-up, with corrosive saliva flowing out of the biting mouth. This monster can hardly be called a human. However, they witnessed a miraculous scene with their own eyes. A small red pill, also known as the panacea, was forced into the mouth of the zombie. Then I discovered the healing effect visible to the naked eye on the zombie. The excitement was soothed, the blood in the eyes faded, and the ferocious canine teeth returned to normal. At last, even the miserable green on the skin disappeared, no different from the common people. No, isn't this too fake? Even the magic medicine is not so fast, right? That's right. Didn't it mean to cure the pain? How did it become the antidote to the zombie virus? What a mess. The special effects are too cool. Isn't this the source of the zombie movie? Please ask for the full name. Same request +1. Quote. When countless people saw this scene, their eyes widened. The exaggerated effect is simply staggering, but who would take this thing seriously? A lot of bullet screens asking for names are rampant on the internet. Kamar Taj. It's gone. It must be fake. The black and white apprentices immediately dispersed. It is still within the scope of understanding before curing diseases, zombies turning into people or something. That is too nonsense. This is not magic. Fake. Ancient One narrowed his eyes slightly, and shook his head inexplicably. It was as if he heard the meaning behind her words. Modu beside Ancient One suddenly widened his eyes. Could it be? Do you mean the Supreme Mage? Is this true? Maybe. Ancient One whispered softly, looking at the screen in the sky with a complicated expression. Unknown existence. What is your purpose? Modu was left standing on the flat ground anxiously. No way. Absolutely not true. Tony's resolute voice sounded, directly extinguishing the luck in Little Pepper's heart. What if? Little Pepper opened his mouth unwillingly. For Tony, who is in a desperate situation and is suffering from palladium poisoning, if the things on the screen are true, it will undoubtedly be a life-saving medicine. Save his lifeline. Even knowing the absurdity, Pepper couldn't help but believe it. Fake is fake. Tony didn't look up, and his tongue was merciless. There is no panacea in the world. There is no panacea to treat human diseases, let alone treat zombies. His video is too fake. If it weren't for the opponent's powerful hacking skills, Jarvis hadn't conquered it yet, which made Tony take a high look. With his usual character, he has long been ridiculed with a vicious tongue. What a messy panacea. The name is very fake. Not scientific at all. In the late stage of palladium poisoning, his weak body could no longer support his high-intensity exercise. Lying on the soft seat, his eyes narrowed slightly, revealing sadness. The first containment has been revealed. Close black lens bracket. SCP-500 Panacea. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket is coming. Close black lens bracket. After the test ended, the screen returned to deep black, and a miniature map suddenly appeared. 3 dots of light mark the bright light on it. Represents the location where the contained items descend. Mutant Academy. Panacea. Charles frowned in the wheelchair. Could it be the awakening ability of a certain mutant? Although hesitant in his heart, Charles still chose to send Storm out, just in case. There are 2 batches of agents starting from S.H.I.E.L.D. and moving towards the location marked on the map. Magneto dismissed it without even looking up, and continued with his great work. Bruce wiped the bat armor on hand, but the long distance finally made him choose to give up. There can be no accidents in Gotham City. The Panacea. Would be interesting news, wouldn't it? The little Spider-Man, who shuttled around with the cobweb, rarely thought of his own job as a reporter. Finally, I no longer need to take pictures of myself as news. Stephen, who trekked on the snowy mountain, has not yet become Doctor Strange. In order to heal his hands damaged in the accident, he came to this place in Legendary, looking for mysterious help, but found nothing. Looking at the lighted positions in the sky, Stephen, who was in a hurry to seek medical treatment, was a little moved. But in the end, he chose to continue searching on the mountain. Even if it was true, this kind of notification to the world would not be something that a ruined doctor like him could get. Just when everyone was guessing how things would end. Screen. Displays the coordinates of one of 3 pills. Quietly turned into a Stark building, Tony was as hot as a top star, instantly detonating the audience's barrage. But the picture in the broadcast made everyone silent. The audience is silent. How is this possible? Stark building. Tony, why don't we go and look for it? Pepper pushed Tony, who was pretending to be asleep, to wake him up forcefully, encouraging him constantly. Tony opened his eyes and refused decisively. No. This is obviously a scam. A very talented scam. Maybe the hacker is looking for a job. That's right. He still firmly believes that this is a prank by a certain hacker or organization. Panacea. How could such a thing exist in the world? Tony Stark, even if he died of illness or poison, and jumped off the Stark building, he would never be so stupid as to believe what was on the screen and go all over the world to find some panacea. That's too stupid. Tony curled his lips. His firm voice had just fallen. Buzz. Invisible waves spread from the void. One of Red's pills landed directly on his $1 million desk. Sigh. Watching this scene happen, Little Pepper's eyes turned red with excitement, and his breathing became extremely heavy. Without even thinking about it, I grabbed it and took it in my hand. He stared at Tony eagerly. What do you want to do? Little Pepper, don't mess around. My head, which is full of knowledge, can't be poisoned by this 3-no potion, please calm down. At least do a pharmacological analysis first. Looking at Pepper, who turned into a female Tyrannosaurus, Tony couldn't feel bad. Time is running out. Pepper turned a deaf ear and stepped closer to Tony. This so-called panacea can be said to have attracted countless eyes from all over the world. If you don't take the opportunity to swallow it, it will definitely attract countless greedy eyes. Even if Tony can hold on to this medicine, but the time wasted in the middle, I don't know how much it will cost. Politician. Always the most greedy jackal. Tony. Can't wait. It must be now. Little Pepper's posture was rare and tough. Tony wanted to struggle. But the palladium poisoning was deep, and he was addicted to the feasting, the playboy body being hollowed out. How could he resist the Little Pepper who turned into a female Tyrannosaurus and directly forcibly fed it? Oh, shit. Easy. You lighten. Even if you want to take medicine, bring me some water. Stark's struggling snarls became smaller and smaller. Clutching her Little Pepper tightly, she also had a stunned expression, and with a thumping stagger, Tony fell directly to the ground. But Tony, whose ass was in close contact with the floor, did not yell. Instead, His eyes widened, and he looked at the reflection on the floor-to-ceiling windows in disbelief. Perhaps. He is going to be really fragrant. The scene that happened in the Stark building was not only a secret between Tony and Pepper, but it was broadcasted by the video and was directly broadcast by the world. No. Far more than the world. It is the witness of the creatures of the entire universe. Hiss, how is this possible? Oh, God, could it be that I didn't wake up? Hiss, this medicine is actually real. How is this possible? No, it must be that I didn't wake up. How could such a thing exist in the world? It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Quote. The internet instantly became a mess, and all kinds of opinions were rampant. The influx of users in an instant even squeezed the network to the point of crashing, causing large numbers of users to be forced to disconnect directly. The picture on the screen is not limited to displaying icons and roots. Instead, the follow-up content is developed and presented together. Everyone. They all witnessed the small red pill appearing in front of Tony, and then Pepper forcefully stuffed it into it. This luck is too perverted. A group of non-chiefs could not help but blurt out curses. However, next moment, the audience was speechless. Tony, who ate SCP-500, recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. The paleness visible to the naked eye on the face disappeared. The complexion is ruddy, and the dragon is fine and the tiger is fierce. Tony thinks he's better than ever, at least he can go clubbing for a week without a break. Even if other people don't understand medicine. Witnessing Tony's earth-shaking changes in a short period of time, I can guess one or two of them. Not to mention, this rich guy even installed all kinds of high technology in his home. JARVIS. Check me out. Tony suppressed his excitement and opened his mouth. The long-lost feeling of health in his body made him a little unable to control himself. Body scanning, sir. Scanning complete, sir. All indicators, perfect. Physical function, perfect. Hidden dangers, no. Palladium detected, 0 inches. Seeing the indicator he was waiting for the most appeared, Tony became excited instantly. Ha ha ha, I knew it. I knew that my brain, cursed by knowledge, would never end like this. Pepper, did you see, the palladium element disappeared, I'm fine. Tony laughed excitedly, his joy hard to hide. Oh, this elixir is simply amazing, I have never seen such a magical thing. The praise in O'Neill's mouth was as if he didn't want money. It was as if he was not the one who sneered just now and said that he would rather jump off the top floor of a building than take a panacea. Unexpectedly. It's actually true. Nick Fury's eyes are wide open, the folder in his hand is already shapeshifting. He definitely knew about Tony's palladium poisoning to the bone. Now, the toxins that have been completely emptied are undoubtedly ironclad evidence. Prove that the panacea really works, not the life-activating stimulant, the real panacea. He belongs to S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury's pupils puckered, his one eye gleaming with determination. Notify all the agents on standby, and take back the remaining 2 elixir at all costs. On the empty top floor. Echoed with the eager roar of the marinated egg. Military. This medicine really exists. If I can get him, it will definitely make the plan more perfect. General Thunderbolt, greed blazed in Ross's eyes. Dial quickly with one hand. All kinds of new fighter jets quickly took off from the base, and the propellers roared. Really? Loki, who was originally dismissive, had a stiff expression. I just said a crappy mortal scam, but it turned out to be effective, it was a slap in the face from the air. Fortunately, no one knows yet. Loki, who was secretly grateful, obviously didn't know that Odin's face in the Golden Hall changed suddenly. A medicine that cures all sickness. Does it exist? A golden light flashed in his eyes. Odin instinctively wants to go to Midgard and get SCP-500 back. The Lance of Eternity had already burst into glory, and it was about to turn into a meteor and fall to the ground, but it finally dimmed, just like Odin's closed eye. The Battle of Midgard. Not my business. Even if the pain on his body is healed, there is no essential improvement for him. The predicament he encountered was never a patient, but a lifespan. Going to die of old age. It is true. Very good. Modu's face was ecstatic, because of Ancient One's strange attitude, his confidence in the panacea can be said to be the greatest. He was the first to set off and open the portal, and he was almost close to his destination. Medicine. Charles stared deeply at the screen, a huge psychokinesis invisible spreading. After closing your eyes, it is the strongest form of his power. Loki, the god of lies. Batman the Justice. Freelance journalist Little Spider-Man. If it weren't for time and distance constraints, there would even be meteors on the back of the moon wanting to fall. After Tony personally tested the drug and proved the authenticity of SCP-500, everyone's enthusiasm was instantly detonated. The organization that was originally looking for with a tentative purpose, the superpowers, were all extremely excited. Completely insane. But the panacea that can cure all diseases. Make sure you don't get hurt. Who can guarantee that he will not get sick for a lifetime? Getting a piece of this medicine is like saving one's life, and some people even have the idea of replica research. All kinds of geeks, ghosts, and evildoers frequently appear in the American comics world. There is never a shortage of mad scientists. Somewhere. Dr. Manhattan slowly opened his eyes. Morka. A national capital in Brown Island. Where military power is generally lagging behind, S.H.I.E.L.D., with bases all over the world, clearly has the upper hand. Countless S.H.I.E.L.D. agents searched the city with great fanfare, and obviously no one dared to stop them. Skillful movements, coupled with excellent equipment, each agent has the combat power to suppress a group of combat teams. It can't be said that it is invincible, but in this backward country, it can definitely walk sideways. This panacea must be mine. Nick Fury clenched his fists, confident. Found it. The surprised voice of S.H.I.E.L.D. agent sounded on the broadcast screen. The small red pill appeared in front of him, lying quietly on a wooden stake. The signal flares lit up immediately, and the surrounding agents quickly assembled, and there were still a large number of combat troops and ordnance a little far away. Very good. Nice job. Nick Fury's eyes lit up, and the corners of his mouth were ecstatic. The ownership of this panacea is definitely S.H.I.E.L.D. That's right, the next step is to see how he deals with those politicians and blocks their greedy eyes. As for bringing it back from Morka, no difficulty at all. How can the indigenous countries in Africa have the right to stop them? They, S.H.I.E.L.D., are the barriers that protect the world. Except for the fact that the Foundation does not know the truth and is extremely mysterious, S.H.I.E.L.D. is definitely the strongest barrier that protects the world. There is absolutely no chance of accidents. Just when Nick Fury was feeling confident. Shit, what the hell is that? What appeared on the video broadcast screen made him, the very deep S.H.I.E.L.D. director, couldn't help cursing. Look what he saw. Magic. What the hell is this? On the screen, a flash of fire suddenly lit up from the sky, and then continued to expand. The vortex of flames swept outward until a space as tall as a person was formed. A man wearing a cloak and cape, with the temperament of an ancient nobleman, walked out of it. The panacea. It's ours. Modu raised his right hand and waved. The small red pill rushed directly into his hand as if being pulled by invisible force. Them. There is another organization behind him. Nick Fury's pupils were wide open, and the vigilance of the Agent King was raised to the highest level in an instant. Stop. Mutant. Or monster. Put down the panacea. We are the S.H.I.E.L.D. who protect the world. Do you want to cut yourself off from human beings? Seeing the elixir being taken away, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents gritted their teeth. Guard the world. Destroy human beings. The corners of Modu's mouth were slightly curved, with a contemptuous mockery on his face. What a stupid fellow. We are the real barrier to protect the world. Defend the world from being invaded by different dimensions, S.H.I.E.L.D. Never heard of it. Is it another toy of those in power? Modu curled his lips and didn't take it seriously. Following the guidance of the Supreme Mage, the elixir belongs to us, Kamar Taj. Facing the agent's pressing attack every step of the way. Mordo didn't care. All kinds of spells poured into his hands, and he easily killed a group of Muggle agents in seconds. No matter how powerful the common people were, they couldn't be his opponents. Anyway, he is also the mage taught by the Ancient One himself. After sweeping the gathered agents, hurry up before all kinds of high-tech heavy firepower gather. Modu directly pulled the sling ring, opened the portal, and disappeared in place. Shit. Exalted Mage. Kamar Taj. The barrier that protects the world. Invasion from another dimension. Quote. Gathering the information mentioned in the broadcast screen, Nick Fury's mind was almost in a mess. He is not someone who has never seen the world. Kree people, yuan-devouring beasts, he has been in contact with them all. But, what the hell is mage? There is also Supreme Mage, something that is full of fantasy when you hear it. Shouldn't it exist in storybooks? Does it really exist in the world? Nick Fury, who has always regarded himself as a lonely hero, organized S.H.I.E.L.D., and shouldered the responsibility of protecting the world, never imagined that there are so many powerful organizations in the world that he does not know. The mysterious and terrifying Foundation. Fantastic Kamar Taj. Who knows what else is in the dark? One by One is not against the weirdness, but against the dimension of Mephisto. In comparison, their S.H.I.E.L.D. functions of regulating the security and conflicts of various countries are directly pulled across the floor, almost becoming floor tiles. Joker is actually me. Nick Fury raised his head with difficulty, suddenly feeling that the world has become strange. The eyes are cloudy and unpredictable. But now is obviously not the time to worry about these things. The third one, that is, the location of the last panacea appeared. And, nearby. What a godsend. We must get it this time. Barton, Tanasa, you led all the agents out, this mission cannot be missed. In an emergency situation, I allow you to use heavy firepower. Nick Fury forcibly suppressed the shock in his heart, and got back to business. Tap the table. Directly dispatched Hawkeye, Black Widow, and his elite agents. The manpower is 100 times stronger than the members of Morka's sub-base. It is imperative. The one-eyed stared at the place where the third pill flashed on the screen. There. Definitely a battle between the dragon and the tiger. Hell's Kitchen. Rumble. Countless fighter jets soared into the sky, galloping and flying in the sky, and the searchlights strafed across. With high lumen lights, even in the daytime, you can see clear beams of light, like sharp swords sweeping across. This stinking ditch full of crime and filth was completely exposed to the sun. Countless gangsters trembled, facing the invasion of the army with great fanfare. No one dared to resist at all. SCP-500. Jin Bin had a gloomy face. What happened today was far beyond his expectations. He is not interested in whether the panacea is true or false. Jin is not self-aware that this kind of thing is out of his control, but the place where this pill appeared directly in his old lair is simply bad news. Let everyone move. The core industry shrinks, and everyone else spreads out. If they want to grab the panacea, let them grab it. We can control our business, and we must not let those stinky rats divide it. Jin Bing's eyes were filled with cold light. The flesh-like body bounced off the seat, not looking cumbersome at all. Trouble. Then make a fuss for me. Make a fuss. With the voice of the underground emperor, Hell's Kitchen was in a complete commotion, and countless mice poked their heads out of the gutter. The noisy gang members kicked off the chaos. Bitcha. Why is the law and order in this place so bad? What are those policemen doing? Isn't this the capital of the empire? Storm unleashed a gust of wind with his bare hands. She swept away more than a dozen gang members who were staring at him. She was definitely not a good person who dared to attack the Statue of Liberty. The wind blade strangled in the storm, and a blood mist exploded in the blink of an eye. It was obviously not the first time that the killing was done neatly. Calm down, we're here to find something. Cyclops said, frowning. Only the last tablet remains. He had a hunch that this would definitely usher in the fiercest competition. Fortunately, time was limited, and many forces could not rush over. Otherwise, he even wanted to ask the professor for help. Cyclops looked at his teammates with a solemn expression. Chin. Did you find it? They in the three-person team are definitely not as good as other organizations with a large number of people in finding new aspects. But, they're mutant, definitely in a mutant way. Piano Girl Grey. Possessing superpowers, telepathy, being able to read other people's thoughts and memories, and remotely linking with other people's minds is nothing compared to Professor X's super ability, but finding things in common people is definitely not a problem. Read it. Chinnu sounded with a surprised voice. It's over there. We have to speed up. A large number of common people have gathered in the past. The order is unified. It may be the army. Chin-nu let go of the memory she had read, and pointed in a direction far away, with a serious face on her face. Army. It's just common people. Just disrupt their formation. Cyclops' expression remained the same. Apparently he didn't take the common people seriously, the arrogance from the mutants. Whoosh. The eyes of Cyclops continuously emit laser light, which is comparable to the laser light of laser weapons. It can melt even metal instantly, and it goes without saying that it hits buildings, defenses, and human bodies. Even if he didn't intentionally kill people despite the meaning of Professor X, the destructiveness is still frightening. With Cyclops' laser opening the way, it quickly swept across a large blank space and abruptly broke into the encirclement of the army. Who? Get out of here. This is the treasure of the Empire. Fire. Fire all. Beat them into honeycombs for me. Roars rang out from the army. Thunderbolt General Ross's eyes widened even more, his blue veins exposed. Seeing that the item was about to be obtained, a few mutated people were suddenly killed and wanted to grab it. How could he bear it? And he waved his big hand and ordered to fire. Anyway, he would not feel guilty if he accidentally injured a few in Hell's Kitchen. Feel. Bang bang bang. Machinery roared, and more than a dozen machine guns were brought up. The flanks of the fighters fired directly. The ferocious firepower covered the audience, showing the fury of technology to the mutants. Storm. Storm wields a terrifying storm in his hands. The super ability was stimulated to the limit, and the veins on her forehead exploded. Snort. Not to be outdone, Cyclops fires in full force. The scarlet shockwave bloomed all around, and two laser rays swept across the Invincible, detonating countless forces. Looks like a real fight with Ross. Compare the strength of mutant and technology. However, where no one is looking, Chin-nu's eyes lit up, and a powerful psychokinesis swept out, quietly affecting the little red pill. Control the power of objects with the help of super ability, and go straight to the core in the dark. By the time the others found out, the pills had already been moved by her, within easy reach. Put down my stuff. After Ross saw this scene, his entire popularity gritted. Pretty. A successful plan. Cyclops grinned across his stern face. Seeing that Chin-nu is about to succeed. Whoosh. Tearing air sounds suddenly came from behind Chin-nu's ears. Instinctively, she rolled back, and a specially made arrow from black grazed her body and shot it. Benedict. The black arrow was nailed to the place where Chin-nu was standing. Dee. The red light on the tail of the arrow flashed, and it exploded directly. Although the special bomb shockwave was not too big, it just happened to get stuck in the control line of Chin-nu's psychokinesis, interrupting her control of the small pill. Don't rush away. This is a big city. Barton, who was dressed in black, jumped from the tall building, pulling the bowstring backwards in his hand, and it was obviously him who shot it just now. Behind him, the Black Widow drew out his two knives, and the slender blade shone with a sense of coldness. Agents with stern faces appeared one after another. Shield. Arrive. Asshole. Ross hopped his feet angrily. Who can bear this? It is obvious that he dispatched the army and found the first thing, but was cut off one after another. First those mutants. Then there are these shield again. No matter which one, Ross didn't like any of them. Dry. Angrily throwing off the brim of his hat, Ross glared and shouted, "Fire!" Mechanical roar. The firepower is soaring. All kinds of heavy firearms raised their heads, and the angry Ross went straight into madness. The sleeping beast in his body has awakened. The panacea only belongs to me. Ross pressed his highest authority button with red eyes. The most powerful weapon locked in the password box was pulled out by him with a grim expression. At all costs. He also wants to achieve the goal. As for the consequences, as long as he can get the panacea and successfully reproduce the effects of the medicine, someone will rush to protect him. As long as he succeeds, he is the hero of the Empire. Crazy. This guy is crazy. Nick Fury slapped the table angrily, with horror in his eyes. Look what this guy Ross is doing. He actually took out the strongest weapon under the nuclear bomb, the cloud bomb. The impact of a cloud bomb is enough to turn Fang Yuan 100 meters into scorched earth. The explosion instantly consumes oxygen to generate an overpressure field, which can create an oxygen-free environment for more than 4 minutes, causing suffocation. Even in house construction, explosion-proof fortifications cannot escape one catastrophe, let alone this kind of open-air environment, is absolutely certain to die. When it explodes, a mushroom cloud is formed, which is highly similar to a nuclear strike. It is called a sub-nuclear bomb, the top human killer. This guy. More than 10 pieces were taken out at one time. Not the portable kind, all of them are big warheads that scare deadman. This posture, let alone a shield agent, even a superhero can't stand it. Those guys from the military, have their heads stuffed into their asses. How dare you allow him to behave like this? Nick Fury slapped the table angrily, his arms were a little numb, and he didn't hesitate to fight at home for a pill. Even if he guessed that they were trying to reproduce the panacea and regarded this as an opportunity for innovation in life technology, Nick Fury still didn't expect that these high-level executives were so cruel. All. Stop it. Hand over the panacea. Otherwise, you will perish with this piece of scorched earth. Ross's deep voice came over the radio. The cloud bomb hangs high. A posture ready to detonate at any time. As for himself, long before deciding to bomb, sitting on the fighter jet left the blast range. Looking at the things that appeared in the sky, Barton, who had a cool face just now, was in a bad mood. Are they crazy? The Black Widow behind her also widened her eyes. Having experienced the training in the Red House, she definitely knows this kind of human weapon, although it is less famous than the nuclear bomb. But, face the onslaught. For them, what is the difference between a cloud bomb and a nuclear bomb? The process is a mushroom cloud explosion, and the result is all turned into coke and died, the same. What? Sub-nuclear bomb. Cyclops, who had a stern face just now, shrank his pupils. Brother Q's expression couldn't hold back any longer. But thinking of Professor X, and the panacea is close at hand, and he has to give up when he is almost there, the torment in Cyclops is no less than that of Ross. The situation seemed to be at an impasse. Isn't it just a panacea? This is too exaggerated. Isn't it really a movie? Help. Run. That guy is really going to explode. Hiss. I didn't expect to see a mushroom cloud rise in the United States in my lifetime. This is too exciting. The barrage on the internet was rampant, and the crowded network immediately crashed. Start up. Activate the emergency escape route. Jin Bing, who was originally the old god, turned green, and other people can watch the show, but his lair is in Hell's Kitchen, which is equivalent to throwing a sub-nuclear bomb on his head. Who the hell can resist it? Face. Benefit. It's all bullshit in front of life. A flexible fat man quickly flashed in the direction of emergency evacuation. Ardga's Dominion. Nuclear bomb. Sub-nuclear bomb. Interesting power, let me light a fire for you. The stalemate is the poisonous point of drama. The corners of Loki's mouth were slightly curved, and his eyes gleamed with magic. As the number one mage in the 9 realms, no matter how pretentious the title was, his level of magic was absolutely true. Especially at manipulating people's hearts and illusions. Under Loki's launch from a distance, the cloud bomb, which was originally only used as a threat, quietly started to activate, and the button was about to be pressed, and the mushroom cloud was about to rise. Stop. A stern voice sounded from every mind in Hell's Kitchen. A figure sitting in a wheelchair suddenly appeared. But, not in reality. It is a projected phantom in the mind. Professor X. Charles Xavier finally couldn't sit still and made his debut. The super abilities of telepathy and mind control exploded at the same time, and the field control suppressed the collapse of the battle situation. The explosion of the cloud bomb was stopped. But at the same time, it also instantly intensified the intensity of the competition. After losing the deadly threat hanging over their heads, all the troops from all sides launched an all-out assault. Rumble, rumble, a loud bang broke out in Hell's Kitchen. Metal scrubbing, energy explosions, and terrifying high-energy reactions are no less than a war in the Middle East. The screen in the broadcast was completely covered by smoke and dust. Only the sound of the impact of the metal torrent can be heard. Hours later. The top of S.H.I.E.L.D. Is that what you took back? Nick Fury looked at the things that Black Widow and the others brought back, his face was gloomy and ugly. Red little pills are right. But, However, the main body of the pill was smashed in the scramble. What was presented on his table was only a little powder, uncertain. Who can tell him? Can the broken panacea be used as a panacea? Especially, only less than 1/3 of the situation. Nick Fury's face was gloomy, and he felt that the possibility was very uncertain, but with the idea of fluke, he could only treat a dead horse as a living horse doctor, take half and give it to the doctor, and let him study it as hard as possible. The rest are all sealed up and classified as 10th level secrets, and only I can retrieve them. Nick Fury rubbed between his brows, suddenly feeling extremely tired. Yes, Natasha Romanoff nodded. They were all seriously injured. It was not easy to succeed in a group of monsters and lunatics. Who knew that there would be a ruthless person in the military who dared to drop a sub-nuclear bomb in the urban area? It's too cruel. Lin Shu's pupils shrank and he almost had a diabetes collapse. He was in Hell's Kitchen. Although it's on the edge, who knows how big this thing's explosion range is, it's just passing through Death God. This ghost world is indeed a nightmare difficulty. Lin Shu pursed his lips, his face was a little ugly, but fortunately, the most difficult early stage has passed. The series of crazy exposure values on the system panel are just a fraction. The real big head is the reward for successfully storing the contained objects. That's right. The shelter and rewards of other characters are also counted on Lin Shu. This is the dominance of the system. All American Comics characters are just his wage earners. Open black lens bracket ding. Containment of SCP-500 successful. Close black lens bracket. Rewards are being distributed. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host for obtaining SCP-500. A simple plastic bottle fell from midair, and Lin Shu firmly caught it in his hand. It's not the defective version that Tony and the others got, which was said to be SCP-500, but in fact there was only one potion in it. What Lin Shu got was the real SCP-500 panacea. Originally. Clatter. Shaking the bottle, there was still a small pile of red pills inside. 43 pieces. After activating the system, the initially strengthened body allowed Lin Shu to see the number of pills in the bottle at a glance. The contact test with the zombie virus used up 1, and Tony and the others shared 3. The quantity and the full bottle of 47 pieces matched the number at once. The rest of the relationship is in my hands. The corners of Lin Shu's mouth curled up happily, and he prostituted a bunch of tool people for nothing. This feeling is really cool. There are more than 300,000 points. Looking at the rising exposure value on the panel, Lin Shu felt that he could exchange some things initially. A testing ground for pocket space. 100,000 points, you can come first. He's had enough of the harsh conditions in Hell's Kitchen. D-class personnel. Agent. Advanced combat team. ... All come to the last batch, let's set up the Foundation's shelves first. At least he can enrich his strength. An empty shell that can be broken at a poke can't fool anyone. Just as Lin Shu was thinking about shopping, the system prompt sound suddenly rang in his ears. Open black lens bracket ding. Containment of SCP-500 complete. Is it starting to draw the second contained item for exposure and coming? Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket whether close black lens bracket. The same text appeared again, but Lin Shu no longer felt anxious. Definitely press select. After the light and shadow changed, the jumping figure made him a little surprised. Oh, did you get it randomly the second time? Lin Shu had some surprises in his eyes, and there was a bit of nostalgia on his face, as if he had met a familiar old partner. At the same moment Lin Shu chose. The picture relayed on the screen suddenly lit up with dazzling brilliance again. Tick, tick, the huge amounts of the dial spread out on the screen, and finally gathered into an icon hanging in the corner. Only the countdown time is left. Countdown to exposure of second containment object, 23 hours and 59 minutes. ... Shit, is this just the beginning? Nick Fury stared with one eye, suppressing his emotions with one hand propped on the table. Although there have been some expectations. But the jumping countdown on the broadcast screen undoubtedly confirmed this guess. Nick Fury's eyes flickered. The formation of Avengers is urgent. The Earth needs its own extraordinary power. We, S.H.I.E.L.D., are the real protective barrier of the Earth. The next containment must be held by S.H.I.E.L.D. The appearance of Mutant and the mysterious mage undoubtedly had a huge impact on Nick Fury. The idea that was originally rooted in him broke through the ground in an instant and grew vigorously. I need strength to help. The Deep One-Eye looked at a towering building. It's time to use the things sealed in his hands, although the timing is a bit bad now. Stark building. New containment. Tony, who had recovered, looked at the countdown in the sky with thoughtful eyes. If only in the past. He would never believe such absurd things. But, after experiencing the effects of the panacea for yourself. Tony's eyes lit up. Emerged the inevitable glow. JARVIS. Search for anomalous locations around the world, and speculate where the anomaly might land. Tony whispered softly. Possessing artificial intelligence, Tony, as a technological pioneer, obviously has a leading edge in the network-covered world of the Earth. Coupled with government relations, the retrieval speed is not inferior to large forces. Besides, battle armor. Now, it's Iron Man's debut. Tony, who was back to health, went straight forward and made waves again. New containment. Cyclops bared his teeth and opened his mouth. His body was covered with scars from the bloody battle. He worked so hard to get only 1/3 of the pills, and they were still in powder form. It was a loss to his grandma. Professor, are we still going? Storm frowned. With a lot of bandages wrapped around his body, the technological power of human beings is definitely not weak. Even if the cloud bomb is suppressed by Professor X, the attack of metal scrubbing can still plow the ground. If it wasn't for Professor X's secret suppression, they would probably have suffered more than just injuries. Definitely go. This is the containment. 1/3 will make the professor's leg heal, if I can get the full one. The little rascal jumped up and down, his eyes full of longing. Go. Professor X said in a low voice, but let Logan and Chin go. Logan. Wolverine. Has it been broken? Loki hummed unhappily. The teleportation spell was broken by Professor X, and he directly blocked him from wanting to watch a good show. Also thought there was a big, firework, show. Unexpectedly, it was just some small firecrackers blown up. It's really boring. Loki curled his lips impatiently. But, new containment. It should be very interesting. And, if I can control this power. Looking at the screen across the sky, Loki's eyes were full of covetousness, his figure flashed, and he walked towards Heimdall. He controls Bifrost and can go to Midgard in an instant. As a rainbow runs through the galaxy, it spreads towards the Earth. Odin in the Golden Hall slowly opened his one eye. Has it started yet? Loki really can't hold back. The one-eyed eyes overflowed with golden light and shone with an inexplicable aura, looking at the countdown numbers on the sky. Odin's original plan to throw Thor to Midgard for training suddenly stalled. Etc. Hold on. In such a complicated situation, the old father was really uneasy. Especially, Ancient One's attitude is very strange. The Ancient One, who has always resisted all kinds of different dimensional forces entering Midgard, did not make a move this time. What did she see? Just when all parties gathered and there was endless turmoil behind the scenes. The picture on the screen finally started to rotate. The light curtain suddenly lit up. What the hell is this? Scary. With this top-notch picture quality, this hacker is also a talent. When is it? The upstairs thought it was a hacker invasion. The military is about to use nuclear bombs. No matter if he is real or not, anyway, I was scared to pee. So, what the hell is this? Quote. Things like puppet dolls suddenly rushed to the screen with their faces close to each other. But it's just this detail, it's too scary. Exaggerated eyes, weird body, messy color scheme, plus a large smear of ketchup, suddenly rushing to the front of the screen. It is even more horror movie than horror movie. The horrifying picture scared more than half of the world's people to death. Tony, who was flying the armor in the sky, tightened his bladder. The picture that suddenly appeared on the screen made him almost lose control, and an air crash occurred in midair. Falling from a height of thousands of meters is definitely the kind of death. Hell, this is too scary. This foundation will definitely sell a thriller. Holding his heart that was about to jump out of his body, Tony cursed. Shield. Nick Fury wasn't intimidated. As the king of agents, his mental quality is definitely the top of the top. Sculpture. Another thing that doesn't exist on Earth. Reality is blank on the computer. In the information network inside SHIELD, no relevant traces can be found, as if it has never appeared in the world. This is an information network within SHIELD that exchanges information from countries around the world. It can be said that it includes all information storage on the Earth. After the low-pitched narration, the light and shadow switched several times. The terrifying puppet sculpture also retreated to the corner of the house, motionless, as if still. Second containment SCP-173 sculpture, original work. Close black lens bracket. Sculpture. The original work. Nick Fury, who had been staring at the screen for analysis, had a bright light in his one eye. Nice one. Definitely something good. Panacea has such a simple name, but its effect is so heaven-defying. This sculpture can be called an original work, and the word original alone is definitely not simple. It must be a treasure countless times better than the Panacea. What happened to the long thriller? Even if it's scary, it doesn't affect that it's a baby. Don't Panaceas look like little 20-cent pills? Thanks for watching, subscribe and support my channel.